Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome each and every one of you to our weekly talk show entitled the Economic Forum. And we are fortunate to have with us our Honorable Professor Abbas Mohammed, an economist from the United States of America. He's here in person with us to dilate upon this very important topic, the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. The prescription of it, will it be monetary policy? That's the IMF prescription for Ghana. Will the monetary policy be a cure for our country, our beloved country, Ghana? So he's here to dilate upon this issue. So we want to invite each and every one of you to be part of this program. And then in the course of time, if you have any questions, you can send it to us and our brother will address it appropriately. So without much ado, we invite our brother to talk about this very important topic. Prof, you are welcome.
Thank you. And thank you, our viewers, and thank you, WorldCare TV, once again for the opportunity. Yes, this is an important topic that we here to talk about, which is the IMF policy as far as monetary policy is concerned, and the tightening of the monetary policy as a prescription for what they need us to do under the guidance of the new deal that we have in the loan facility that they've given us. So the question is whether it's going to be a cure. Is that what we really need to solve our problems, or is it something else? So before I do dive into that topic, I want us to pay attention to the fact that IMF has been here for some time, since independence. That's 1957 right. To be specific. So they've been with us in prescribing some of these things. And like I mentioned, if you look at the history of what IMF has done to our economy, is some of these prescriptions. And what we end up having is a statistic that looks good on paper, but does it really transfer to the growth of the economy? So when we look at monetary policy and economics, we're looking at monetary policy as a tool depending on the business cycle. So if you take the business cycle of Ghana, historically we came from COVID, and then we kind of recover. We're in the recovery phase. And then we have a new government coming with the NDC government, and they've done quite a good job of tightening the belt. But the question we have to ask is, if should this continue under the guidance or the prescription of IMF, what is the benefit? The only benefit we stand to gain is the statistic of inflation going down, which is what we're experiencing right now. So that's a good deal. But long-term benefit in terms of GDP growth is gonna get affected, because anytime you pursuing tightening of the belt, all right, as a prescription for your economy, then what it means is that you're gonna make the cost of borrowing very high. You are not, meaning interest rate is gonna go high, because that's the monetary policy tool that you're gonna use, which is what the Bank of Ghana is using. So the Bank of Ghana is using a monetary policy tool, which is often called the open market operations. So when we use these tools, it means that interest rate is going to be a little bit higher than usual.
That's right.
So there's not a lot of money flowing into the economy. When a lot of money is not flowing into the economy, the interest rate rises. When interest rises, then the cost of borrowing becomes expensive for businesses and anybody looking to do more for the economy. So what do? You slow down growth. So the GDP is not going to grow as expected. Remember, we're just recovering.
That's right.
Our GDP is beginning to show signs of positiveness. All right. But we need to accelerate the growth. So how do we take advantage of the austerity that we have in the system under the guidance of IMF and what the World Bank and this Bank of Ghana is doing to move further, is to look at structural reforms. Because without structural reforms, where we industrialize,
Mm.
all these is going to yield to nothing.
Mm.
That's why I always want us to look at ourselves and think of ourselves as a long-term vision of what we need Ghana to be.
Mm.
Because IMF is short-sightedness.
That's right.
They're only looking at the numbers of, you know, your tightness,
Mm-hmm.
and then the inflation being under control, which is a good thing
Mm-hmm.
because people can afford. But the question is, if the economy is now booming, even when it's so low, how will people be able to afford it?
Mm.
Because they don't have jobs. So that's where we need to be.
Mm.
Sometimes you have to ask the question, what's the trade-off?
Mm.
Is it low inflation, slow growth, or accelerated growth with some levels of inflation?
Mm-hmm.
You have to balance the two. And that's why anytime I look at Ghana's economy and try to compare it to the West, I find myself wanting in the sense that if you look at the advanced countries like the United States, before such a measure will be taken, we have some specific target that we're looking at. First, it begins with what we call the potential GDP, which means that we are anticipating the economy to grow by some billions of dollars. So if the economy is some $1 trillion, $300 trillion right now, by the end of maybe 2 years or in 4 years, we should add some $4 trillion to the economy.
Mm.
But when you look at Ghana, we don't have such a vision. And that's what actually guides your growth strategy. If you don't have a potential GDP, it's like a target.
Mm.
If you don't have a target of where you need the entire economy to go in terms of GDP growth, real GDP growth potential, then how do you grow the economy to meet that target? So it's like they're playing games with you, but
That's
you
right.
really don't know where you're going.
Exactly.
And that's why, as people, we have to go past the IMF goals
Mm.
and ask ourselves, what do we want Ghana to look like
Mm.
in the next 25 years? Okay. Now, in the next 25 years, Ghana is right now, what, $67 billion
That's right.
economy. $67 billion economy. We want it to be a $1 trillion economy by 10 years. Okay. How do we achieve that? In the process, we will manage inflation where it needs to be, because the inflation can be managed by the growth. All right, whether it's a monetary policy or is fiscal policy. These are two ways of managing your economy, moving it forward. It's either the fiscal policy or monetary policy. But like I said, their interest is in the numbers. So you could show discipline, you could show that you're containing inflation, but at the expense of growth. And I don't think anybody will be mad to say, I can afford it, even if it's expensive. I think that's a good place to be if you can afford, because you have income.
That's right.
So let's give people the income, and then we handle the inflation as we go, right? Right now we have the platform with inflation control. So can we accelerate it with structural adjustment in terms of industrialization? And that's where Ghana needs to do more.
Mm.
So you could take what they're giving you and accelerate it, but you have to renegotiate in the sense that when they're asking you to pursue austerity, they're telling you to not spend on the economy. We have infrastructure waiting. Roads are waiting to be built. All right. Agriculture is waiting to be diversified. Other sectors, manufacturing needs to get going. So if they're telling you to not spend, people needs to get paid. People are waiting to get paid. Workers are not being paid. Under the guidance, they want us to look good on paper, but people are suffering.
Mm.
And that's where we need to be. So we need to get the balance. When is inflation control a good thing? You go to the West, when do we do that? It's when the economy is experiencing overheating. We haven't recovered the economy. Why are we so particular about experiencing austerity when growth is not being achieved? We just turning the corner on GDP growth.
Mm.
The target, we still off the target. This year we posted a 5.3 growth on GDP. So we getting somewhere, but we can accelerate it with structural reforms industrialization, and value addition, and the human capital. So these are all areas of effort that we need to really put effort on. So inflation control is good on paper, but can we do more than just inflation? And look at the situation so people get paid. All right, all the arrears of people waiting to get paid needs to be taken care of. All right, contracts needs to be relooked at, and then we start infrastructure development. So these are areas where I feel we need to focus on, not just about inflation. Inflation control is good, but if people don't have the ability, they don't have the purchasing power, what does it matter?
That's right.
First, let's build the purchasing power, get people jobs, industrialize, get people to work, and then we can maintain inflation or control inflation when necessary. So the platform is there, but we have to do more in terms of economic growth, where real GDP will have to grow. So let's identify what our potential is. What do you think we can do as an economy in the next 10 years? How do we get there? All right. Because inflation, like I said, makes the way we are managing the monetary policy means that the cost of money is going to be expensive. Businesses are going to find it hard to be able to borrow and accelerate their growth, because it's only when businesses borrow or get access to capital that they will increase their economic activity. It's a simple economics.
Yeah.
So that variable we call investment, gross investment is gonna go higher when people have access to capital, and that's your GDP growth, because the components of GDP is your investment. So if investment is not boosting, then how do you experience growth? And that's where we need to worry about. So is the monetary policy a desirable tool at this point of our economy? All right, that's the question we have to ask. Our economy is recovering. A lot of other economies, the same thing. So when you tighten in too much, you are reducing money supply in the system. That increases interest rate. Interest rate increases, money becomes expensive. Money becomes expensive. Businesses will find it harder to pursue business activities. When business find it harder to pursue business activities, it's going to slow down jobs. And when jobs slows down, the whole GDP is going to experience slow growth. So we have to look at the scenario and see which one do we want. Do we just want a statistic that says we've controlled inflation and then growth just as small, or do we want accelerated growth even at the expense of inflation? Because sometimes it's a consequence of your accelerated growth is inflation, depending on which side you're looking at. And that's on the demand side. On the supply side, you have to industrialize, because that's the ideal, the long-term growth. So if you want to experience real growth, you look at the supply side, which is human capital, industrialization, machinery. All of these things needs to go. Physical human capital, that's where we need to focus to experience a growth without inflation. We can do that. But right now, we focus on inflation and monetary policy guidance and the IMF slowing the growth down, but we're not doing much on the supply side. So it's only until we move on the supply side that we're going to see the growth that doesn't have inflation consequences. And that's your human capital, physical and human capital, what we call the capital deepening. So that means we have to deepen our capital, which is education that's relevant to the times. All right. Then we have machinery, infusion of machinery and AI into our processes. And that's where the real growth will happen. So tech hubs, everything that we have lined up. The good thing is we have it lined up. Under this administration, a lot of things have been lined up. But the activation, the real execution of it is what's going to get us there. But IMF guidance dictates that you have to slow. And I don't know until when can we start moving.
Fantastic. Prof, thank you for this information you've given us. But let's start where it began. You made mention of IMF being with us from day one. So now my question to you is, how do we take our country back? Because honestly speaking, as I see it personally, I see IMF, this Bretton Woods institution headed by Rothschild family, I see it as a new slave maker. The institution is there to give you money and then tell you how to spend the money in order to turn down your economy. So right now, in giving you money, the number one conditionality is for you to devalue your currency. And we devalue the value of the CD to a point where the CD is equivalent, one CD is equivalent to almost 17 Ghana cedis. But it used to be 101, right? Now, this IMF, is it a burden to the nation? Because successive government will come and see the loan that the country has taken from IMF, and it is their responsibility to pay back. During the days of Colonel EL-KHAMIS in 1978, he had a policy in a local dialect, meaning we're not going to pay. And in so doing, he enacted Operation Feed Yourself to replace the International Monetary Fund. I'm asking this question because we have to take our country back. The monies that we've collected are so enormous that the IMF are now saying we should privatize. Privatization also means sell all what government owns as a representative of the people. So right now, the gold mines will only benefit less than 10% of our own gold. Bauxite, timber, iron is Ghana, but does not belong to us because of this privatization. So what I'm asking is, what policy are we going to enact first to take our country back first?
First, we have to be able to understand that we can actually grow without them if we really mean business. We have nations doing it now. People are getting away from it. All right, where you can dictate the terms and given the potential that we have in resources. All right, so if we really want to go past them, then we really have to be bold enough to call the shots. All right, and then seek other alternatives. Because the problem is we're reluctant to seek alternatives because some of the alternatives needs to be started. Like we can look at the Chinese example. BRICS is here. So maybe we have to be serious about leveraging the BRICS Union and see where we can do business with them. We have regional corporations, institutions that we have to leverage, within the African region. Then we have the diaspora community. If you have a community, look, just watch this. The diaspora is bringing in 4.6. These are Ghanaians abroad. $4.6 billion
annually.
And yes. So how much is IMF loan that we have right now? 3 billion.
Wow.
So we actually bring in more money than what IMF is willing to give you. And this is money that we bring in that if it's structured correctly to go into the Bank of Ghana system, they will be able to use it in a way that will benefit the economy than going for some of these loans. That's just remittances. Now, just go into the diaspora again. That's seeking alternatives means we have to work. That's right. Where the problem is. I think we're so comfortable, all right, being where we are and going for the money because it's easy. And we forget that we're hurting ourselves and hurting our people. Because anytime, like you mentioned, anytime you go in, there are conditions. Some of the condition is that you open your resources for foreign direct investment into those critical resources. These are resources that are critical to the nation. Our live wires.
That's right.
Why do we allow a foreign company to manage at 80% and less than 20 to us? Under what conditions? Who's calling the shots? So that's where we need to start thinking. I don't know what we've been doing for 68 years, but anytime I look at that relationship, I question what did we do for
Mm.
68? What can we show that IMF has done for Ghana?
Mm.
Seriously.
Mm.
I need to see really what development has it brought significantly to the lives of Ghanaians. So if it hasn't translated into serious growth, I want an indicator that shows that IMF has contributed this much to the economy. The last time I queried and tried to find like the real impact in terms of how many jobs have they created with their policies for us, because that's the impact, right? How many jobs, how many lives have we transformed? You can't find a lot the numbers supporting that, but what is true is that the reverse.
Mm.
We always suffer.
I like that.
We've always suffered each time they come in. Today we're suffering from increasing electricity tariffs as a result of IMF deal. So anytime they come in, the citizen will suffer a little bit. And then you can go back to the 80s where food started becoming expensive when they asked us to withdraw subsidies. So I don't know why we keep doing this. But if we're really serious and want to work, that's where the question is, are we ready to work when we're seeking alternatives? Because seeking alternatives will mean that we won't have easy access to the funds as much as we have right now. Some of it will have to be strategic. Some of it will have to be renegotiated. We have Islamic banks. We have a whole lot of other negotiations that needs to happen. But some of these things will have to be, like take some time for us to get a deal. All right. But IMF is like the easy way out. And we always take the easy way out. And then we forget that we're heading ourselves, because I want a number that shows what IMF has done. Has they transformed the country? How many IMF deals haven't we seen? Ghana is still Ghana. It actually retrogressed, if we should be honest to ourselves.
So I like the word.
I don't see anything that they've brought that shows that they need to be here in terms of the way we have the deals with them. Maybe if they have to be here, then we have to change the deals. We have to be bold enough to look at our resources and be like, yes, we can use this in a different way. Look at Dubai. Look at UAE. Look at Burkina recently. They dropped them, cut ties with them 2 years. Look at what they're doing.
That's right.
They're revolutionizing the
That's
economy.
right. That's right.
Economic revolution. Factories are being built. Electric cars are being made. Who would think about that 5 years ago? That Burkina will be producing electric vehicles. They took the shackles out.
That's right.
And then they begin to think.
That's right.
And they began to work.
That's right.
Can we work? Can we think freely? Don't be lazy thinkers.
That's right.
And think that you have a check from IMF every time I turn around. They're here. They're here because that's where they need you.
That's right.
They need you to be there so they can always hand you over the check on the right and slap you in the back.
That's right.
That's what
has
been happening. So we have to wake up. Countries can do it.
So, Prof, let me ask you this. You made mention of the other way around, the reverse. What alternative do you think is available? Because right now, considering our independence, we are now getting to closer around 75 years of independence. And this policy is being practiced in the Western world for almost 200 years. So in terms of comparison, we are like a baby coming up. Apart from this IMF, what alternative do you think a nation such as Ghana should consider as an option, apart from the International Monetary Fund?
So look at the nations that haven't used IMF and see where they're going for their help or partnership. I don't even want to say help, because then it means like we beg it. I don't want us to feel like we actually need to beg for anything, because we have the resources. And that's why I always emphasize in all our discussions that I don't want us to have this mindset of scarcity. Nothing is scarce in Ghana in terms of resources.
That's right.
But if we think of abundance, we come in with our chest out, knowing that we have the resources it takes to leverage negotiations with. Then we can call the shots. All right. How can we use the resources, leverage the goals that we have, the reserves that we have? Now we're building on the reserves. So why wouldn't the reserves be a catapult for negotiations with countries that are interested in ensuring that we can also grow?
Okay.
So you look at the BRICS.
Okay.
That's what Burkina is doing.
Okay.
Favorable terms on their loans. All right. You have the Arab countries, they're willing. UAE is interested because they have access to our gold to a certain extent. All right. So we have to negotiate all these deals. The countries will come if you fix your acts together. If you show that you mean business, the countries will come. You have the resources, they will follow, they will come and negotiate in your own terms, not in the terms that benefits only one country. All right? The countries that MF is represented. No, we should take care of ourselves. We have the resources to leverage. All right, but we have to be bold enough to know that we know what we're doing and that we have what it takes to negotiate with these countries. Look at how Traore is projecting himself. He doesn't go into any country like a beggar.
That's right.
Because he knows his value.
That's right.
Limited resources in terms of access to the resources that they have. But look at the resources we have in Ghana. We have more than they do.
That's right.
But look at how he's running the show. And then we chose to act like beggars.
Mm.
You don't have to act like beggars.
That's right.
You have to show strength. You have to show resilience. But the only way you can do that is if you fix your acts together. All right. Let's have a vision of where we need to be, understand our resources, and seek partnership where we can value add onto our resources and try to create the revenue that it takes for us to grow. Once we begin doing these things, the nations will come seeking partnerships. All right. So we have the whole world to leverage. All right. We have the whole world. You have the African region as a source of alternative. You have the Arabian nations as a source to alternative. Then you have Asia. So all these three regions are ours. We in Africa. So we have Africa. You have countries that are thinking like you. You sit down, you figure things out. They have the resources to explore our oil, then let's bring them in. We have resources to explore our gold, let's do it better. And we all Africans at the exchange, at the terms of trade that's beneficial to both.
So, Prof, let me ask you this, it's important. I want you to answer this question for me personally. Now, China and Russia has opened their arms to trade with Africa. When you consider during the days of Kwame Nkrumah, he took the same road he traveled, and that resulted in his overthrow. Right now, Traore has focused his attention with Russia and China, and there were over 20 attempts of his life. So I'm asking, should we take China and Russia as alternative? Is it going to affect our diplomatic relationship with the United States of America?
Yeah, you're not going to make certain people happy, like the West, United States in particular. Yeah, it's not going to make them happy, but at the end of the day, you just have to be strong. That's why I say we have to be bold enough. The problem with what you mentioned about Kwame Nkrumah is that he was ahead of his peers in terms of where he needs the country to be. All right. But if we come in as a nation that has a vision of a long-term growth and strategically set up a team or a method of ensuring that there's continuity
Mm.
of this vision, then it's not one person. Unless you want to kill the whole nation, then you
Okay.
can kill us. And that's why Traore is facing what Traore is facing, because it's very difficult for people to side with him in terms of how he envisioned the nation. But Ghana doesn't have to do that. We can come together and figure this out as a nation, because we know that the alternative is better. The alternative to IMF is better. All right? If we all agree, MPP and DC and anybody else who has read history of IMF relationship in Ghana, we agree that they have not done much. If they've done anything at all, it's nothing compared to if we have gone the other way ourselves. So if that's true, then why don't we come together and as a nation agree that we're going to seek alternatives? If it's Russia, if it's China, whatever it is, as a nation, then what it means is that we're going to have a team in place, not only the leader, not the president, all right, that is going to ensure that this vision, through the strategy of seeking alternative partners for growth, is going to be the way to go forward. But if we leave it to the president alone, he will be hesitant to pursue it because his life is at stake. So instead of letting one person be the leader of that particular vision, why don't we come together? Because we all agree that that's a better way.
Okay.
There is a better way.
That's right.
If there's a better way, that's not IMF, then why don't we come up with a strategy, a team? That's why I always emphasize my NEMCO suggestion. If you remember, I mentioned National Economic Management Commission.
That's right.
For Ghana, that's going to be here regardless of who is in charge. So even if you kill our president, our vision doesn't go away. When they killed Kwame Nkrumah, the whole Ghana just went down the drain, because it's only him that's thinking that way. But right now, you have a lot of us thinking this way. All right, you have a lot of Nkrumahs everywhere.
Right.
Every party has one or a few people. Everybody agrees that we need a better option. There's no doubt. Everybody you talk to, I read the comments when the Minister of Finance posted the deal he got, the release of funds from IMF. You should read the comments on Twitter. People were like, we don't need IMF. People were just giving it to him about getting excited about IMF deal. And they were like, that's lazy thinking because we can do better. So it tells you that Ghanaians are much more knowledgeable now than they were some 68 years ago. So Kwame Nkrumah then was alone. But now we have a lot of us who believe that IMF is not a long-term way of growth. So if we have such a feeling among Ghanaians, then what we need to do is to set up a system which is independent of our leader. So you don't kill our leader and kill our dream. No, you don't kill our leader and kill our vision.
So in this case, Mr. Prof, let's look at the broader picture.
Right.
Suppose Ghana is self-reliant, Burkina is self-reliant, and the rest of African countries are in the condition that we just came out of. Right now, Julius Malema of South Africa has a policy of a rainbow nation, Africa without borders. The same vision was with Colonel Muammar Gaddafi. He established an African central bank and backed it up with gold. Look at what happened to Libya. So why don't you tell us something about individuality will not solve the problem of Africa. It can solve a problem of a nation. What about the broader picture? What do you think we'll do in order to unify Africa as a whole? Because with this unification of Africa, now we can sit on we can stand our ground. We don't need IMF. If you don't need it, somebody may need it. And he happens to be your neighbor. But Africa as a whole becoming one as envisioned by Kwame Nkrumah, that is when we can say We don't need IMF. We don't need World Bank. We don't need Federal Reserve. We don't need US Treasury. We can be self-reliant. So what do you say about the broader picture?
Yeah, the broader picture and the long-term vision is to have an Africa that's united,
Without borders.
without borders, regional integration that ensures that we can move freely as people. And that's a vision that would threaten the West. Again,
Okay.
they're always going to be threatened by our union.
Okay.
Because when we unite like that, then we control the resources of the world. Because research shows about 60% of our resources is in Africa.
That's right.
So if you control it 60% and you unite it, then you run the show. So not only the West, the rest of the other regions are going to be concerned about Africa. All right. So that vision is still viable, but what is going to get us there is internally having systems that is resilient to all these threats, external threats that we're going to pursue. Because any individual president who seeks African Union the way you're describing it is going to be eliminated.
That's right. It's a threat.
So rather than a person proclaiming to bring African Union, have a system that's resilient, independent of one person.
Okay.
And then that system generates into a model for Africa's economy, like a National Economic Commission kind of model, which mimics like something like the Federal Reserve or Indian's Federal Bank, where everything is managed by technocrats. So the economy itself is kind of on autopilot outside the view of the world. There are people that are actually looking at this to ensure that everything is running. So in that case, the only way you will eliminate is to take down the entire country, because the person who's going to be elected to lead the team is only a chairman, but he doesn't control it. He only has one vote in terms of decisions moving the country forward, whether to seek partnership like IMF or otherwise. These guys are going to be the ones to decide, and it's not the president.
Okay.
All right. It's not the chairman of the board. It's the board.
That's right.
So eliminating one person doesn't solve the problem. So until you're ready to eliminate the whole country, then the country keeps moving forward. So if we can set that example, one single example that is strong like that across Africa, that Africa can unite, and nobody can do anything about it.
Okay.
But any leader that shows his face, like Gaddafi did, to try to unite Africa will be eliminated. Nkrumah did, they did a coup on him.
Yeah.
Gaddafi tried to do, and he did it by action.
Yeah.
Even as the satellite that we all talking about right now.
That's right.
And everything that he was trying to do, he was an action-oriented person, saying less but doing more.
That's right.
And guess what? They're not happy with it.
Yeah.
They weren't happy. So anybody who acts individually, that's the problem with Africa. You know, we act individually, and that's where they got us. We're not united on the purpose. If we can unite on the same vision of, say, having a National Economic Commission model across all Africa, so the people are running their own show. The leadership is just a mouthpiece to represent us on the tables, discussions, but the real economies and decisions that matter are done by a representative of the people in a commission, Economic Growth Commission, solely on blueprint of where the nations are going. Then nobody can fight it. It has to be structural. If you build a structure like that, then nobody can touch you.
So let me ask you this, Mr. Prof. Europe and America generate their money through taxation. What method do you think the government should apply in order to bring the people's thinking into welcoming taxations? Because recently, the government tried to tax fuel, and it wasn't welcomed by Ghanaians, so he has to drop it. So what advice are you going to give to the government to allow the people to understand that Western countries do get their money through taxation? So what are you what advice would you give to the government to relate to the people and educate them on taxation?
My advice
It's like the Ghanaian people are not aware. They are not too much educated on how to pay
the
tax.
civic education is an important piece of this long-term growth thing that I'm talking about. Because if you read my book on unlocking Africa's potential, where I propose that as you pursuing an independent organization running the show, you also have to educate the people to understand what the long-term vision is. If people don't know why you are collecting the money, they'll be reluctant to give you the money. We just came from a bad government, right? We beginning to kind of settle, and then you want to hit us with another tax. To what end? What is it for? Because Ghanaians always feel like we've seen this movie before. Yes, NDC has signs of promise, but they haven't done anything yet to show us that they'll be different. So you don't start with taxes, start with action, do something. Show us that you can be better than the previous government, right? If you can be better than the government, show us what you've done. I mean, significantly. Then people will be willing to give you money. Taxes wouldn't be a problem. We pay taxes in US and we don't, you don't feel it. You don't feel it simply because you can see the tax.
That's right.
So you build systems where citizens are educated and they trust the government is doing something. If you don't build the trust by action, not by words, you can have civic education, show us billboards of our vision, Vision 2050. Do we have such a thing? Vision, we already passed 2020, so no more 2020. 2050. Let's go for Vision 2050. Show me a billboard of what Kumasi is going to look like. Kumasi, that's not as chaotic as I'm looking at right now. How is Obuasi going to look with all the gold they've given us? Show us that vision. Let us buy into that vision. And then come for the tax and see if we're not going to be willing to. You ask for $1 levy, we give you one more. Because we know what you're going to do with it. Actions. All right? All we're doing is always squeezing the Kenyan with nothing to show for it. All the taxes we pay, what do we see? Is Ghana better than the Ghana 20 years ago?
No.
So why tax? Everybody will be reluctant. Everybody, that's why everything is corrupt, because the system, there's nothing you can show for everything you're paying for. Everything is so difficult, everything is so tight, because with everything that the Ghanaians have given, the leadership hasn't given us anything back significantly to see our country is also moving somewhere. Roads are tight, infrastructure lacking. All right, countries are enjoying. Look at Rwanda. We were here when they went to war.
That's right.
And they came back from war. Now Rwanda is like a Western country.
That's right.
Not a single trash on the ground. Why did you think that they moved from people who are throwing trash all over the place to a people that believe in holding their trash into a can? The mindset.
That's right.
We can do it.
Yeah, I agree.
The leadership needs to give us that vision that we can do it. Are they talking like I'm talking? No. Let's conscientize the citizens and let them believe that we can do better and work to show them that you're doing better. Trust me, we will clean up. We will do our own cleaning without the government coming to clean our house. We're dealing with malaria for no reason. It's the filth around us.
That's right.
Why can't we fix it? But if the leadership is not willing to lead us towards our own self-realization of we're better than who we are, then everything becomes chaotic.
That's right.
So when you look at it, like, we can do it, we just have to have the leadership give us something to hold on to. you're asking them to pay one more levy for what they were asked. The Ghanaians were asked for what? You promise you're gonna cut all these taxes, you took e-levy, then you turn around to charge another levy on the other side, and you haven't done anything. What project have you launched that's moving that we can see? What are you gonna use the money for? You ask 10 out of you know, you have 5 out of 10 Ghanaians, they will tell you that they believe that the $1 levy is gonna go into someone's pocket. That's how we think. So we have to change that mindset that if indeed we're gonna pay $1 levy on fuel or whatever, that is gonna translate into something significant. It's gonna translate into how my roads are gonna look like. It's gonna translate into an opportunity for my kids. It's gonna translate into something. You know, they gotta get the payback somehow.
Bro, let me ask you this. It's about the devaluation of currency.
Yes.
Recently, you know, we've seen how the dollar is beating up the Ghana cedi. But right now, you can see the dollar is, the cedi is appreciating against the dollar. Now, what effect is it going to have with the economy if the dollar continue going down to the level as it was before? It used to be 4 cedis before NDC left government. It was 4 cedi. So right now it has brought it came down from 17 cedis to 10.5, and they are even projecting it can even go down. So now when it gets down to 5 cedis or 6, what impact is it going to have on the economy?
If it will go down like they're suggesting, the first thing is for us to ask the question realistically, can it possibly go down to that level? To answer that, you have to look at the factors that are contributing to why the dollar is going down and the cedi is appreciating. So that's where you need to start thinking, slow down, and not get overcarried and be realistic about the situation. The underlying reason why we having this gain over the dollar, number one, is the lack of stability in U.S. economy as a result of Trump's, you know, indecisiveness on the tariff and its associated consequences, where people are running away from the U.S. economy and anything that has to do with dollar. All right, so investment is being taken out. So the American economy is kind of stalled. All right, just by that action. So that is a significant reason of why we see what we're seeing with the appreciation of cedi. The second reason is, of course, you have to give credit where credit is due, what the NDC government is doing. All right, with the cleanup of the gold pricing and sales of gold trading from gold board, you know, ensuring that we can have high premium prices. So that helps. And then the reserves increasing, that also helps. So we are able to get foreign reserves, which means we have more dollars than what people need.
Okay.
So when the supply of dollars is greater than demand for dollars, then the price of dollar goes down.
That's right.
Because demand and supply triggers the price. So if the demand for dollar is less than the supply, then the prices go down. So the question is, would that continue? We yet to see that. So as a country, we can continue to pursue that area where we have the gains, right? Gold board doing what gold board is doing, Bank of Ghana doing what they're doing, and ensuring that we increase our reserves in gold and then in foreign, you know, currency reserves in dollars. So if we continue to move that way, that will help with pushing the dollar down.
Okay.
By the moment US recovers from his slumber, then we should anticipate something else.
Okay.
Remember the last time I said, if US sneezes, Africa will catch pneumonia.
That's right.
So when US wakes up, the question is when, because this guy, I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
But when it wakes up, it might affect that trajectory going down. So rather than waiting for that to happen, the way we can achieve the $1 for cedi relationship in foreign exchange is to structurally change our setup. So take the advantage that we have right now. Right now, we are at a good place. Ghana is has never been in this place for the last 8 years where the platform is set for us to move faster forward in terms of industrialized. Because now everything you import is relatively cheaper, right? So prices are down for citizens. So people are happy with that. All right. So the sentiment is good. Investor confidence, consumer confidence. Excellent. Now do the next step. Structurally adjust the economy. Agro base, we have to start moving. Industries, we have to start building them. We have to start substituting some of these things that we import heavily on, especially when it comes to our staple foods, because that's the inflation that we experience. When we import the food that people eat a lot, all right, then it shoots the prices up. So now that we have the dollar under control, why don't we look to take those pressures out? So even when dollar goes up, because we have substituted, okay, like rice, we produce a lot more of what we consume here. All right. So instead of now going back to import rice at the high prices, we already have replaced rice. So we don't have to deal with the inflation as a result of rice. Pick up corn. These are all staple food. The things that we eat that matter to us. All right. The necessities. So if we can address the necessities, basic necessities, locally, then you are taking the effect on inflation. Because our inflation is partially driven, actually, most of it is driven by imports. So you have to do some import substitution strategies strategically on things that you think you have competitive advantage on. We have good weather. We infuse technologies in our agricultural processes. Like I said, human capital. So the supply side I mentioned, you have to bring them into play this time to be able to replace the things that you import. That's driving inflation up. So even when US wakes up from their slumber, it's not going to affect how dollar is going to play on you. But if we sit here and keep rejoicing on our gains and do nothing about it, the moment US wakes up, then everything will change again.
Okay. Prof, let me ask you this. Today I want us to spend like 5 minutes to talk to our people in the local dialect. You made mention earlier on about our resources. Without African resources, most of the companies in the Americas and the Europe will have to shut down. You understand? So can we call the shot?
Yes, we can call the shot. They don't have to shut down. They just have to move here.
That's right.
But they move here at our terms.
Okay.
That's where it's like, it's not like they're here, but this time they're here taking the benefits out.
That's right.
There's no conditions. There's nothing holding them accountable. So it's like they're ripping us apart.
That's right.
So why don't we change it in a way that they can come here if they have what it takes, and then as a long-term strategy, be able to replace them with our local companies. Have a strategy to learn the processes. Have the strategy to eventually replace that company or take over that company with your local team.
Okay.
We can do that.
Okay.
China has done it. How many companies went to China and they all ended up leaving the process and the knowledge? You do it because you want the knowledge. It helps with moving faster. That's what we call accelerated growth. Rather than you trying to reinvent the wheel, you bring somebody who's more experienced, who's an expert in the field that you're trying to grow, to help you grow, but then you learn from it as a long term to also eventually be the one to do it. China did it. Countries have done it.
I got it.
So we have to be strategic.
That's right.
We can call the shots.
That's right.
Countries will buy in if you have the human capital.
Yeah.
You know why people are going to China? It's not because of cheap labor. It's because of the technical skills. That's what the what do you call it, the Apple CEO said. He said, we're not going to China because they cheap labor. That's no. We're going to China is because they have the skills we need to make our phones, the iPhones. That's why they produce most of them in China.
Okay.
So let's build our human capital, the tech hubs, everything that this government has lined up. We have to pursue it aggressively. People will come. Companies will come.
Wow. Let's answer this question posted by my brother Yusuf, which I find it very important. He's asking, what impact could higher interest rates have on business and job creation in Ghana?
I think I mentioned it. So as a monetary policy tool that we're pursuing, we are reducing access to capital, right? Which is the money supply. So when money supply, the tool we use to reduce money supply in the system is to increase interest rate. So you think about your business. Let's say you have a project that you think of an expansion, right? You run in a shop, you see sales doing good, businesses are booming, and you're trying to open the next location. Let's say you short 100,000 Ghana city, and you are seeking funds from a bank. And as a result of this increased interest rate, if last year when you were opening up, or 2 years ago when you were opening up, interest rate was probably 10%, and this year you go, the interest rate is 20, what would you do? You'll be reluctant to take 20% interest rate on the capital that you need, the 100,000 Ghana city that you need to expand your business. Now what just happened? You're not going to open the next shop. The opportunity that you have given the shopkeeper is gone. So jobs less. When job is less, not only is the job less, that person now has lost his potential income, which would have come back into the economy. Because each time somebody gets a job, the expectation is that when they get the income, they will have what we call disposable income, the money that they would spend in the economy. And that's what really gets the economy going. Because where do they spend? They take the money from you as an employer. All right. I make the income, I get the money. I get the money, I keep what I would, if I have to save, I will save some, but I spend on someone else's business. That someone else's now gets an income, also expands his business, hires someone else. So one single action by the government in interest rate can have a multiplier effect. That's what we call it. We call it the money multiplier. So the money multiplier is a situation where the government allows money to be cheap and it have a ripple effect in the entire economy. So when you increase interest rate, the reverse happens. Now there's no money, no economic activity, no booming of the business, and then no hiring of people. People will still wait to get jobs. Somebody you intended to give them an opportunity to keep your shop is never going to get employed. Him not getting employment means that he never gets the income. If he never gets the income, how is he going to spend in the economy? Remember, the economy is moved by consumption, investment, government spending, and then the net export that we talk about, export, import. So this is how everything ties together.
Okay.
So any variable triggers growth positively if you take an action that will increase that variable positively. So interest rate reduces investment spending. So that means investment is going down, GDP is going to go down.
Thank you so much, our brother, Professor Abbas. I believe you've really enjoyed this program and you've gotten yourself educated from Walkia TV. We thank each and every one of you for being with us this evening. And before we put the program to an end, I would like to appeal to my brother. At least, we have a lot of our people who doesn't understand the English language. And majority of them are also, they used to listen to our program. So I want you to just take some 5 minutes and then summarize what we've done here to also benefit our mothers.
All right.
What happened at Walkia TV this evening? It's a very important education you've given us. and we thank you so much. And please take this opportunity and talk to our people who doesn't understand the Hausa dialect. But before you say so, let me just open the door for you. Jama'a musulmai maza da mata, muna muku godiya da kuka yi zanna tare da mu cikin wannan lokacin saboda mu dan tattauna akan tattalin arzikin kasar mu, musamman bankin duniya wani halaka take da shi da wannan kasar tamu ta Ghana, kuma ga ɗan uwanmu wanda mazauna ne a kasar America, shi economist ne, professor ne na economist. So da ya taho wajen nan ne yau kusan ina jin satin shi 4 kenan, ko ba haka ba? 3 yana tare da mu, yana zuwa yana ɗan karantar da mu kan yadda mu ma za mu waye mu san me ake ciki, me kasar nan take ciki. To ba za mu bar ku a baya ba, kuma kuna da haƙƙin ku san abin da muka tattauna a harshen turanci. Shi yasa za mu ɗan bashi minti 5 ya gutsara mana menene muka tattauna a maraicin nan akan tattalin arzikin ƙasar Ghana. Bismillah, Prof.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
To muna muku barka da wannan lokaci, barka da abin nan yau kuma da economic forum. To mun dai tattauna kan zancen tattalin arzikinmu na kasan da alakanmu da IMF, inda suke shawartar da mu kan cewa mu rike wato sake kudi da gwamnati ke yi cikin watan economy. don da dama in gwamnati hannun shi in ya sake hannu ake samun kudaddadi su shiga cikin economy, a samu inda ma'aikata ke samun abin nan kudi su ma su increase business su din. To yau shine muka duba irin wayannan shawarwari abu ne mai kyau ko dai ko shi muka tattauna kan cewa yana da amfaninsa dai shine in kudin bai yawa ba yana kawo wayansu ababa prices su ya zo kasa, amma kuma in ka wuce prices shi ka je kuma wajen da zaka duba to ci gaban kasan da kansa ya wannan yake yi. To shi muka ce in dai gwamnati ya rike hannun shi da dama da jimawa yana kawo da garin ci gaban yayi tsanyi, shi kuma saboda dan kudaddadin sake su yi yawo cikin economy shi ke kawowa kowa ya samu amfaninsa. Dan muna da abin da muke ce da multiply effect, inda zaka sake CD daya ya kawo amfanin da ya fi CD dayan nan da ka sake cikin economy. To lokacin da suke ba mu shawara mu rike kan mu kashe kudi cikin economy, balle economy da ya fito cikin halin da economy ya fito ga COVID, sannan kuma ku da kanku kun san abin da ya faru wancan lokaci na wannan gwamnatin da ya sauka. To yana da wannan ya kamanci ba yanzu mun sake muna fama da tayar da kasan. To in dai kuma har yanzu suna cewa mu rike to yaushe za mu fara tafiya da kasan inda ya kamata? To shi muke tattaunawa, muka gwada amfanin abin da suke fadi, amma abin nan matsalan shi yafi yawa cikin bayanin da muka yi. Da fatan mutane sun bibiye mu lokaci, insha Allah mu continue, kuma dama ya zo Hausance kuma za mu samu mu yi bayani sosai lokaci yayi. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum, jazakallah khairan. Muna muku godiya, muna gode ma dan uwanmu Professor Abbas da wannan karantar wanda ya bamu. Amma jama'a albishirinku, insha Allah nan gaba za mu taho mu tallata a koni littafi da za mu kaddamar, wanda dan uwa Professor Abbas ne ya rubuta. Insha Allah idan lokaci ya kai to za mu gayyaci jama'a a taho wajen kaddamar da wannan littafi. Insha Allah lokaci ne bai kai ba sai samu kai shiru, amma insha Allah mun kusa. za mu ɗauki sati, kowane program za a yi to za mu tallata wannan taron. Yana da muhimmancin gaske. Kowa da sarakai da attajirai da talakawa da 'yan boko da 'yan islamiyya duka muna gayyatar jama'a su zo wajen kaddamar da wannan gagarumin littafi da dan uwanmu Professor Abbas ya rubuta. Insha Allah za mu kaddamar da wannan littafin a Accra da kuma nan Kumasi. Amma idan lokaci ya kai za mu samu Kurana da kuma inda za mu yi wannan kaddamarwa in Allah yadda. Shi yasa ba tare da ɓata lokaci ba, muna muku godiya ƙwarai da gaske. Muna da roko ne duk wanda ya kalli wannan program din yayi kokari a mana sharing, idan ka kalla kai ma ka tura da wani dan uwanka shi ma ya tura, yanda dai zamu yi ya kai wajen wa'anda muke so su ji, su ne manyan 'yan siyasa su ji wannan karatun da aka bamu nan, ba ko ina za a samu ba sai a nan walkiya. Shi yasa muna so don Allah idan kuka saurari irin wa'annan program din kuma ku share, kowa ya samu har ya kai ga wasu manya da muke son abin ya kai gare su. Mu ne muku godiya kuma har ila wa yau muna muku godiyan gaske, muna cewa assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Prof.